Vanessa for Crafty Gemini Creates, and in this video tutorial I'm going to teach you how to crochet these little mini washcloths that I use as facial scrubbies or makeup removers. They're eco-friendly because they're washable, and the yarn that we're using is 100% cotton. So let's get started. Let's talk a little bit about the yarn that we're going to be using. This is my favorite 100% cotton yarn to use, and it's by Lion brand. It's called Kitchen Cotton, and it comes in some really fun colors. I'm going to be working with this really bright yellow color called Citrus today. So what you're going to need for supplies is your yarn, 100% cotton. I like that because we can just throw them in the wash. So if you do use them to remove your makeup and things like that, you can just wash them and reuse them. Another thing that I like to do is to kind of make these little gift packs. So you can wrap them up in sets of 3 or 5, wrap them up with a pretty ribbon, and give them with a handmade bar of soap for the holidays. That would be a great idea. Also, if you have young children like I do, I like to make them their own little washcloths about this size so that they can start to learn how to scrub and bathe themselves. So that works as well. And so let's get started. So we have our yarn. Aside from that, we're going to need some crochet hooks, and the manufacturers for whatever yarn you use will usually have the size hook that they recommend to be used with that yarn. So for this Kitchen Cotton, they recommend a size H, but I'm going to be using both a size H and a size G, which is one size smaller, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. You're going to need some scissors, and then of course your tapestry needle so you can weave in your ends once you're done with your little washcloth. All right. So for the yarn, we're going to get started with our chain stitches to start off, okay? And I'm going to use the size H hook for the foundation chains. Then we'll switch to the smaller size hook. And the reason I do that is because oftentimes if you start off with the same size crochet hook that you're going to use throughout the project, the chain stitches will usually be a little too tight, and so then it distorts the finished project, you know, that foundation stitch line that you made to start off the project. So we'll start off with H. And I just did a quick slip knot. If you are a complete beginner to crochet, make sure that you open the description box below. There'll be a link there for a full video playlist that I've created for a bunch of really newbie beginner-based crochet tutorials. And I actually have another crochet tutorial on how to make this headband. So make sure that if you want to make this project, it's real simple as well, that you watch this video all the way to the end, and then we'll link you right to that project. All right? So we've started off with our slip knot on our size H hook, and we are going to now chain stitch. We're going to do 11 chain stitches. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And so by using the larger size hook, I've made these chain stitches a little bit more loose than what I would make with a size G hook. Now I switched to the smaller size G for the rest of the project, and the reason for that is that the smaller the hook size, the smaller and tighter, more together your stitches will be, and then you'll end up with a more it's like a tighter weave that you end up with on the finished little washcloth. I don't like it to be too loose, so where you can see right through your stitches. Instead, I like it to be pretty dense. And for that, we're going to be using one of the most basic crochet stitches. It's just a single crochet. It's the shortest one, so all the stitches are really going to be nice and close together because of the stitch and because we're using a smaller size hook. So now what we're going to do next is we're going to start with our single crochet into this foundation chain stitches that we've already done. And to start, we're going to skip that first one. So imagine that this loop that's on our hook right now, you see how it's coming out of the other chain stitch? We'll say that this one belongs to this one. So we're no longer going to go right into that one. We're going to skip that first one and go right into the next one. All right? So again, I'm skipping that first foundation chain and I'm coming into this one. You go in for the single crochet, you go into the stitch first, then you yarn over, pull through 1, and then you yarn over and pull through 2. All right? So again, I'm coming into the stitch, yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops that are on the hook. All right? And you're going to continue to do that all the way around. If you chained 11 stitches to begin with and you skip that first one, you should find yourself only doing 10 single crochet going across the row. So let me finish this row, and then I'll show you how to turn your work so you can work another row going the up, you know, in the opposite direction. All right, so here's my last one. Coming in here, pull through once, yarn over, pull through twice. So there is my first row of single crochet. Now to turn your work, because you're going to have to work the other way, you're going to, at the end of each row, after you do those 10 single crochets, go ahead and do 1 chain stitch. And that is basically giving us the height of about what a single crochet is so that we don't end up, distorting the edges on our work. So you do that one chain stitch, and now we turn this, and now we're going to stitch in the opposite direction going this way. All right. So again, the loop that's on my hook right here is coming out of that first chain. So we don't touch that one. We skip it. And now we're going to go into this second stitch. And so let me show you, in case you don't know what your stitches look like, let me point them out. Everything that you see here that's a V shaped, you see how this is like a V, another V, another V. Each one of those is one stitch. Okay, so that's one stitch, another one. So when you have to go into it, what you're going to do, I'm not going into this first one. I'm going into the second one right here. I put my hook right through both. You see how I grabbed, how even with the hook being slipped in through the stitch, you can still see the V shape right here. That's how you do it. You put it right through both little sticks of the V. And then we're going to yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, and pull through twice. And do the same thing for the next one. I put it right through the entire V, yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, and pull through twice. And you're going to repeat this process all the way up until you end up with a solid square. If you're a beginner to crochet and your gauge is a little bit off, it won't necessarily be 10 times that you'll do it. You can decide to keep going longer. You can make a longer strip, more of a rectangular shape, or a square. I suggest, if you're wanting to make them a square, just to stitch and keep going back and forth until you stop, look at your work, and if it looks like a square, then you can end it off right there. So let me grab another sample that I have here. Grab my hook out of here. And this one, I'm coming up on the end. You can see when I stretch it out, okay? It's about a rectangle, so it needs about one more row to be more of a square. So that's what I'm going to finish off. I'm going to do one more row of single crochet, and then I'll show you how to fasten off and tie off your ends. So I'm at the end of a row. I need to do that chain stitch to add on there. Then I'll turn and then come into the next stitch and do my 10 single crochets across. All right, one more stitch. Here's my 10th one. And now when you get to the end of a row, there's no need to do a single, another chain stitch there because we're not going to turn around. So just pull up that last loop that you had on your hook. You're going to cut a tail. And now to fasten off, and this is to tie off a knot so your stuff doesn't unravel here, you're going to take that loop and the tail end that you cut and just slip it right through the loop, and now cinch it real nice and tight, and that's going to tie off your work and fasten it off. So that looks pretty good, a nice little square. And now I'm going to show you how to weave in your ends. So we fastened it off already. To weave in the ends, the reason we do this, instead of just, I know if you're a beginner, you're kind of tempted, like, well, I tied a knot and I can snip it right here. Well, that can come apart, and then you're not going to have any other yarn to work with to try and fix it up again. So instead what we do is we tie these knots, right, and we fasten them off, but then we also leave a longer tail. We're going to weave this into our work. And that's going to help keep everything from unraveling on you. And even if it does, then you'll still have a little bit extra to crochet back and then retie it if over time it does come out, okay? So I've just threaded it in my tapestry needle here. And now to weave it in, there's really like no set place where you have to go in and weave. You kind of just put it in and out of your work. I like to do about 2 or 3 inches or so of weaving in my ends. That way I know I'm secured. And I usually won't try to go like in one line. I will usually like go in a W or V shape back and forth, and that usually helps keep it even better tucked away in there in between those stitches. All right, and once you've weaved in about 2 inches or so, or 1.5 inches, about that, then here's where you can go back with your scissors and clip it real close and down to your work. All right. So you can pretty much see how it disappears in there. Remember that you still have to go back in and weave in the other loose end, and then you'll be done with your little facial scrubby, makeup remover, whatever you want to use these for. They work out great. Remember, they're an eco-friendly project. It's 100% cotton as well, so you can pop them in the washing machine as well. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make these little crocheted mini washcloths, and that you'll give this project a try. If you do, remember to take some pictures and upload them to social media so we can check out what you're making. If you enjoyed this crochet video tutorial, make sure to hit it with the thumbs up below, share it across the different social media sites, and don't forget to click the subscribe button so you won't miss out on any of my future videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.